So good morning again, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Yufei. I'm the International Graduate Students Coordinator, and I will be taking you through our welcome. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge that even though we might not all be at McMaster right now, McMaster is still the place that unites us, that brought us all together on this Zoom call today. And one day we will all be back on campus. I don't know what that day is going to be yet, but once we get on campus, I really want you to kind of look around and just acknowledge the land that we're on. We recognize and acknowledge that we are located on the traditional territories of the Mississauga and Haudenosaunee nations, and within lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. So this is very important to us in Canada because we want to acknowledge that the land is very important to us and to our Indigenous people. When you get to McMaster and when you get a chance to see the land, I also encourage you to learn about our Indigenous culture, our Indigenous history, because we got a very rich history and we really want everyone around the world to learn and to enjoy it. Here is a brief overview of what we'll be talking about today. So today's webinar is a little different from the summer webinars. We won't be talking about arrival information or other things about Canada in general, but we have staff from graduate studies answering specific questions you might have about starting school at McMaster. And we will also share more about resources that are available on campus in detail. And since we're in the middle of orientation month or the orientation period, I would like to also introduce you to some events. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the Q&A section. We have a lot of panelist staff here to answer them. And first, we will have Dr. Doug Welch, our Vice-Provost and Dean of Graduate Studies. He is here live joining us right now to welcome you to McMaster.
Thank you very much, Yufei. And first, I'd like to welcome all of you virtually or whatever, and also acknowledge that this has been an incredibly challenging year for you, for the world, and for McMaster for that matter. We have been working constantly to try and make this year as useful to you, as productive for you, and as rewarding as possible. I can tell you that I have this great team of people working with me in not only grad studies, but in the Student Success Center. They're not working directly for me, but they're working with us. And we've been working for weeks and weeks to figure out exactly how this is going to play out starting this month. And we're continuing to work on those things. I know that one of the things that you've probably found very frustrating is the lack of clarity in terms of when you can arrive, or when you will be able to arrive. I assure you, we found that frustrating too, but the university is working every day, literally, with our provincial government, our federal government, and our public health entities to settle on a plan which will allow you to travel to McMaster when possible. So I hope that's soon. I also hope it's soon that I have a chance to greet you in person. But in the meantime, I just want to say, have an amazing year, and we're here for you. We understand how this is supposed to work, and we will help you work toward your career goals. So thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you, Doug. So Doug is the Dean of Graduate Studies, and you will also have associate deans for each of your faculties. On our welcome website, on our Fall 2020 orientation website, we have a playlist of all of your associate deans welcoming you and just to introduce you to McMaster on the website. And we have 6 faculties in grad studies, and each of the deans are very excited to have you here. So I encourage you to go to the website and just watch the short little welcome video just to get yourself acquainted with the dean, with your dean. Okay, and now we will get started to talk about the School of Graduate Studies. So if you've been on campus or when you're going to join us eventually, the School of Graduate Studies is located in this building named Gilmore Hall. I know it's a bit confusing for me. I'm not sure if you've seen a map of McMaster, but some of our buildings are connected. So when the first time you go on campus, I encourage you to look for this building and just to get yourself familiar with us. The School of Graduate Studies is a central administration and resource for all faculties. So no matter which faculty you're from, we're able to help you. We oversee processes like admissions and graduation, PhD defenses, rules and regulation, and forms and policies. And we also have a document named the graduate calendar, the academic calendar, and it has all of our policies and regulations on there. We also host a team of scholarships and awards, graduate student life, and international graduate, and myself, the international graduate student coordinator. Some of our team members from scholarships and graduate student life are here today, as well as admissions. So if you have any questions in this area, they will be able to answer your questions through the Q&A function. And of course, one day when you join us, you will be able to visit our front desk. But in these, let's say, challenging times, that's the word everyone is using today, I would like to introduce you to our virtual front desk, and specifically Kevin. Kevin is also here with us today, and he is the brains behind AskGrad at mcmaster.ca. So I'm not sure if you use this email already, but this email is our front desk, is usually our first point of contact. And if you visited our office when we're in the office, you probably met Kevin at the front desk. So you can email AskGrad about issues related to enrollment, retrieving online letters from Mosaic, or about your student photo upload if you encounter any technical issues. You may also request to update your records through AskGrad. So that includes name changes, citizenship changes, and things like this. And Kevin can also provide signature for CPP forms. And Kevin will also be able to write information on petitions such as leaves of absence, withdrawals, transfer programs, and all kinds of things like this. And if you're in doubt, just email Kevin, and he's great at directing your question to someone who knows the answers to them. But please note, if you have questions that are specific to your program, like your courses or requirements for your degree, or questions about your funding, you should direct those questions directly to your program, because your program will be more knowledgeable about your program's specific needs. So Tony from our scholarships department will be here during the first hour of the presentation. And our scholarships department oversees the scholarships available to graduate students. So international students may only apply to merit-based scholarships, and these scholarships are only available in course, which means that students must be fully enrolled to be able to apply. The application period opens October 1st and closes in early December. All our applications are managed through this program called Award Spring, and you can access it through your Mosaic homepage. If you have not logged into your Mosaic account yet, I highly encourage you to do so. Students complete one application to be matched with all eligible awards, and it also tracks the completion of any additional application required on a user-friendly dashboard. And if you have any additional questions or questions specific to your needs, you can also email graduatesscholarships@mcmaster.ca. And I just learned this tip the other day that if you go into your program specific page on graduate study programs, you can also, there's also a tab that shows you all the scholarships available for your program. And of course, many of our graduate students are funded and they will be paid by the university. So payments for scholarships and employment will be deposited directly into your Canadian bank accounts. So you will not be getting checks regularly, or you won't be getting any paper documentation. All of your payments will be deposited directly into your Canadian bank account. Depending on the type of payment you receive, you may have to update this information in two places. In Mosaic, which is also your student center, you will receive scholarship funds. That includes graduate scholarship, entrance scholarship, department scholarship, external scholarship, and tuition bursaries. And also, if you have TA roles or RA roles or research scholarship, you will need to update your direct deposit information through our human resources portal. So there's usually a form that you will receive through email from our human resources department prompting you to complete these processes. And of course, 2020 is an interesting year, and I realize that many of you are not in Canada right now. You would have received an email earlier in July with detailed information about if you're not in Canada, we will transfer sufficient scholarship funds to your student account to offset your tuition fees for the fall term. So this includes tuition and supplementary fees, and this will be done a little later in the fall term. So this has not been done now. So please rest assured, if you have sufficient scholarship funds, your fall 2020 tuition and fees will be covered through those funds. And you will also receive more information about how and when this is going to happen soon. If you have any other questions about your pay, just the payment process, please email gradpay@mcmaster.ca. And representatives from GradPay are also here today if you have general questions about the process. Please feel free to put it in the Q&A section. And many of you will be employed as teaching assistants or research assistants while you're here with us at McMaster. And this is considered formal employment. In order to be employed when you're in Canada, you must have a social insurance number and a Canadian bank account, which you can set up when you arrive in Canada. The exact conditions of your work allowance is determined by the Canadian government, and you will be able to see it when you receive your study permit when you arrive, and it will be clearly outlined on your study permit. According to the graduate studies academic calendar, you may work up to an average of 10 hours on campus each week. And please note this is an average, and the academic calendar have detailed information about how this is calculated. And also, please update your direct deposit information on Mosaic and Human Resources, especially for this term when the staff and we're all off campus working remotely. We won't be able to produce checks. So your payment may be delayed if your information is not updated in time. And if you're not in Canada for the fall term, you will not be able to take on TA opportunities until you arrive, because you won't be able to get a social insurance number from outside of Canada. And most cases you won't be able to get a Canadian bank account. And unfortunately, these two pieces of information are required for us to offer employment. But please rest assured that your TA and RA opportunities and the hours outlined on your offer letter is still valid, and we will fulfill those hours that were promised to you. Exactly how they will be fulfilled will be determined by the requirement of your program or by the structure of your program. So if you have any questions, please reach out to your program. This may mean teaching assistant roles in the spring term, in the summer term, but each program is different. And I strongly encourage you to reach out to your program for this information. And these are just some of the reminders that you should kind of be aware of or be mindful of for this month. So if you haven't done so, please activate your MAC ID and email. All of our communications will go to your McMaster email going forward, and we try not to use personal emails unless it's for emergencies. Please upload your student card photo. If you have any questions about the process, if you're encountering any issues, please email askgrad@mcmaster.ca. It's important for you to upload your student photo because we also use the photo to confirm class attendance. And once the student cards are ready, this will also be the photo that we use on your student card. And please also to update your personal information, include your Canadian address or if your updated phone number on Mosaic, because we are mailing student cards to Ontario addresses right now. And if you're in Ontario, we would like you to get your student card as soon as possible. There are a few key dates. So September 9th is today and is our late registration deadline. September 25th is our tuition deadline if you're not receiving any sufficient funding that are to be transferred to your student account. September 30th is a deadline for you to complete SGS 101 and 201. And I believe Judy will share a link to more information and instructions to how to access these courses if you have any questions. And now I'm pleased to introduce the Student Resources team to talk about student life as a McMaster graduate student. And I have my colleague here, Andrea Cole. She is a Student Recruitment, Retention, and Diversity Coordinator at School of Graduate Studies.
Thank you so much, Yufei. Hello, everybody. And as Yufei mentioned, I'm going to just explain a little bit about the resources and student life events and activities that are available to you. Here in the Student Life team in the School of Graduate Studies, we organize events throughout the entire year, and we do our best to provide helpful resources to all graduate students. So you can find out about all of our events on the web page that's listed on the slide here, and Judy is going to enter it in the chat box. Events and our workshops are a really great way to meet new and returning graduate students and to help you get ready for graduate school, and also to meet the Grad Student Association and the International Grad Student Association, some of who are on the call today. Also, it's a great way to meet staff from Grad Studies and our other campus partners. And you can learn more about the resources that are available to you. So another thing that we like to do is give opportunities to showcase your achievements, such as the 3-minute thesis competition. And you'll learn more about that as you progress in your degree. So on our graduate student resources page that you'll find on the School of Graduate Studies website, a few particular resources that I just wanted to point out is a section on the supervisor relationship. So there's a guide, a tool there on that page called Getting the Supervisory Relationship Off to a Good Start. We highly recommend you have a look at that tool as you're starting your degree. It gives you all kinds of tips and suggestions on how to have great solid communications with your supervisor in your program. You'll also find all of the guidelines for graduate student work and for faculty and students there. And within the grad student resources section as well of the website, there's information on graduate disability and accommodations, graduate writing resources and thesis writing resources, as well as career and professional development. So in addition to having these tools and resources up to date on our School of Graduate Studies website, we also send you a weekly newsletter. It's called The Weekly, and it comes directly to your email. You don't have to sign up for it. And that's how we keep you updated on all of the upcoming information and events that are relevant to you throughout your degree. So do please keep an eye on those emails from us.
Thank you, Andrea. And I am also part of the graduate student resource team, and my role is specifically to support international graduate students. So I will take this opportunity to talk a little bit more about my role and encourage you to reach out to me or book an appointment with me if you like. So I am situated in the School of Graduate Studies, and I work closely with the team there. I support international graduate students throughout their graduate student life experience. So you might see me at some of the presentations before you accepted your offer, or when you're preparing to enter McMaster, or when you've already been there or been here and just have some questions. I am here for you. I also plan programming that addresses and advocates for international graduate student needs. So this may be the virtual cafe that some of you have attended, and there will be future events as well. And I also oversee the International Grad Navigator program. So I'm happy to announce we have more than 100 new students signed up for the program already, and I know some of you are here. Thank you for your interest in the program, and I hope that you've been connected with a current student that are helpful for you and who you're comfortable communicating with. And that also connects students to relevant services and resources in the university. I do all of these things, and if you have any questions about them or even some feedback or recommendations for me, I welcome everything. You can email me at zheny37@mcmaster.ca. And you can also book a one-on-one appointment with me. And you may talk about anything that you want. And I've had appointments where students just want someone else to kind of review where they are at the moment in terms of their academic studies or in terms of their personal situation. I don't know anything about your program requirements, so I can't give advice as an academic advisor, but I'm happy to just sit down and just have a one-on-one chat with you, just make sure everything is going okay and make sure that you got all the information that you need. Throughout the summer, we've already had a few webinars, and I highly encourage you to go to this page listed on the screen to view those webinars if you haven't had a chance to see them live. So these 5 webinars include the International Grad Student Summer Webinar, the International Grad Student Panel Q&A. This one is particularly fun because we had 6 current grad students answering questions that new incoming students were asking through the Q&A chats live. We have Starting a McMaster, where you will get a really good overview of McMaster in general, and Life in Hamilton and Canada, where you will get a really detailed overview of Hamilton in Canada in general, so you're prepared when you arrive. And we also have a very popular webinar where we only talk about off-campus housing and accommodations, because we know that finding housing is one of the big things, not even just for grad students, for everyone who lives anywhere. So in that webinar, we spend an hour to talk about tips and strategies to look for housing in Hamilton and answer some of the questions that folks may have about living in Hamilton. All these webinars have been captioned and uploaded, and I highly encourage you to access them if you haven't done so already. And of course, it's not 2020 without talking about COVID and the pandemic. And I would like to take this opportunity to remind you that if you meet the current travel exemptions and you plan to travel and you already have a plane ticket booked, you have a date that you're going to join us, please let me know as soon as possible, and I will help you with booking quarantine on campus and booking a travel, making travel arrangement from the airport. You will also, if you follow McMaster's quarantine plan, you will also receive an additional letter from me confirming that you've been following and you have followed our university's quarantine plan, that you can use this letter to show the border agents to support your arrival. So if you meet the travel restriction, the travel exemptions, and you have already purchased your plane ticket, please let me know. And we have availabilities up until December of this year. So if you're arriving in October, if you're arriving a little later, please reach out to me as soon as you book your plane tickets. And this is all about grad studies for now. I'm sure you'll have more questions or you'll learn more about grad studies as you are studying with McMaster. But I want to move on to our campus resources that are available for all international graduate studies. And first, I would like to invite Anna Pereira, our lead coordinator of international students at International Student Services, to introduce International Student Services and talk about your health insurance.
Thank you, Yufei. So as Yufei said, I'm the lead coordinator for international students, specializing more in undergrads, but also servicing grad students. So some of the things that I look after are some programming and events, workshops, socials that grad students are also invited to attend. Also the health insurance, which is UHIP, which stands for University Health Insurance Plan. My colleague Andrea, she also has, she's there to help navigate when it comes to personal or any academic or any concerns. Again, your first contact should be your program, just because you are very specialized as graduate students, but we are also there to help navigate you. And then we have Anthony, who is our immigration and mobility advisor. So he is an immigration consultant, and he is there to help answer any questions that you may have throughout your journey when it comes to your immigration documents. So things like your study permit, your TRV, eligibility for working off campus or on campus, your postgrad work permit, etc. Just be aware that he is not here to represent you. He is not your consultant. He is just there to help navigate you. So it is on you to keep your status in Canada legal and up to date, but he is there to help navigate. So if you've never applied for a study permit extension, we have resources for you, and he can help you look over your application if need be, but he is not representing you, so he will not be submitting anything on your behalf. You can also book appointments with us on Oscar Plus for one-on-one online appointments, and we have virtual drop-ins on Wednesdays all afternoon that you can book appointments with us, and then Anthony has some more availability on Mondays and Fridays as well. Next. So when it comes to UHIP, I think to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to divide the information in terms of students who are international students who are physically in Ontario and students who are not in Ontario. So if you are not in Ontario and you will not be here as of right now, you can be exempt from the UHIP plan because you're not actually eligible. You have to be living in Ontario to be eligible for the plan. So if you are not here, you've received both an email and also a communication through your weekly newsletter of what you have to do to be exempt from the UHIP plan. So if you have already followed those instructions and sent me an email, great. I am working on the second batch of emails that was sent on Fridays. So if you haven't heard from me, please be patient. I'm working hard at those emails. If you haven't sent me anything yet, please do so. Also remember that if you are not here today, but you arrive in October, you need to inform me the day that you arrive that you have arrived so that I can re-add you to the UHIP plan. So for students who are here and they're international students and they will be here continuing with us, the coverage for UHIP starts on September 1st and it goes until August 31st of every year. The cost is $720 for 12 months for single coverage. If you have a dependent, dependent being your spouse and your child and or children, it is also mandatory to enroll them into the UHIP plan, and the breakdown is there for the cost. So it's basically $60 per month per person that you're adding. After the third person, the cost does not go up. So let's say it's you, a spouse, and one child, and then you have another baby, there will not be an additional cost to add that child. Or if you already have more than one child, there is no additional cost to be adding the fourth person into the plan. So as of right now, you are covered. Nobody has received their UHIP card as of yet. Because of COVID and all the manual changes, we have not been able to send them out yet. We are working to have them emailed to you all out next week. So again, please make sure your McMaster email is active. Do not have your McMaster email forwarded to another email at this time, or you will not receive your UHIP card. As you can see, the UHIP card excuse me, is just a printout. It does not have a photo, so it cannot be like a photo ID. So to avoid fraud, what the insurance company does is that it will only allow the email that they send with your UHIP card to be dropped in your McMaster inbox. So again, if you have that inbox forwarded elsewhere, this email will not be forwarded. It will kind of like die there. So you need to make sure it's active so that you can at least get your UHIP card and make sure it is not being forwarded elsewhere. And again, you should be receiving this email early next week. Once you receive it, you just print your UHIP card and you carry it with you in case you have to see a doctor or go to a hospital, etc. Next. So what does UHIP cover? So UHIP covers doctor's visits, hospital visits, surgeries, blood work, x-rays, lab work, MRIs, all of the bigger stuff when it comes to medical care. Also, it does also cover some mental health. So if you need to see a counselor at Student Wellness Center, you can always book to go there, and counseling is also supported there. What it does not cover are things like vision, dental, prescription medication. You have another plan for that. So if you are an MBA student, you have that coverage through the MSU Health and Dental Plan. And if you are grad students, you will have the GSA Health and Dental Plan. Or if you are a TA or an RA, your dental plan moves over to the QP, but your health remains in the GSA. So essentially, if you're a grad international student, you can have three insurance companies, or three different insurance plans, I should say. But again, it's not having double or triple coverage. Each plan covers its own thing. So you do kind of need all three or two of them to keep you covered while you are here. So for more information, if you'd like, on the UHIP plan, you can go to our website, which is there on the bottom of the page. Like I said, you can always book one-on-one appointments with me. You can email me. I am letting you know that to get back on emails, there is a few days delay just because of the volume of exemptions happening right now, but I'm usually fairly quick. So either or would be good, either appointments or any questions, you can send them to me through email. Next. So if you're not in Canada, as mentioned before, you can be exempt. If you haven't connected with me yet, I will be putting a deadline of September 15th to get all students to connect with me, just so we can have all the people who need to be exempt from the plan. And just remember, as soon as you arrive in Canada, if you arrive in Canada during the fall term, please connect with me as soon as possible so that you are covered. Healthcare in Ontario and in Canada is very, very expensive. So please make sure you connect with me so that you can be covered. A lot of people have been asking me what will happen for the winter term. As of right now, there has been no announcements in terms of what the university will be doing for the winter term. So once that comes out, there will be another adjustment if needed, or right now you're only being exempt for the fall term, so you will still see a UHIP charge on your student account from January to August. which is applied now. So it's applied now because the UHIP plan is normally a mandatory 12-month plan, and it's only charged now in September. So even though I'm exempting you for the fall term, you will see the charge of $480, which is from January to August. Again, once there's an announcement from the university, if we are online again for the winter term, there will be some kind of readjustment. If we're in person, then you're ready to go for the winter term, and you will get your UHIP card once that time comes. Next.
Great, thank you,
Thank
Anna.
you.
Thank you. And I would like to remind everyone that International Student Services is a great resource for all international students. And if you have any questions about your UHIP, your health plan, please email Anna. And if you have any questions about your study permit, your study permit application process, please email our immigration consultant. They are all very great resources for you. Next, I would like to introduce you to another service on campus. They are called Model or Merge. They all stood for a much longer name, but they're commonly known as Model and Merge. They came from the same office where Model have workshops and lessons and other kind of events to support and improve your English language proficiency, and all of their services and events are free. And we also have Merge, where it is an English readiness program for graduate students specifically. It's a very intensive 6-week program. There is a cost to it, but I know that they also offer scholarships and funds to some students that covers these costs. So please stay tuned for announcements and updates about these through our email. And Merge is particularly for graduate students as they aim to break down academic and professional barriers for students who does not speak English as their first language, and they have tips for students studying at the graduate level. So the Model and the Merge office is having an event called the Model Language and Culture event on October 1st, where they will showcase all of their services and encourage you to access them. So I highly encourage you to attend that event. And next, since many of us or almost all of us will be working or studying online in some capacity, University Technology Services, also known as UTS, is more important and more prominent than ever. So they have a lot of services, including support with your Avenue to Learn, support with your email, lynda.com learning lessons, and support with Zoom. So anything technology related, they will be able to help you. But I would like to highlight these two particular areas. The first one is Office 365. So Office 365 include applications such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook, and they are all free for students at McMaster University as long as you sign in with your McMaster email. So I highly encourage you to get this set up and make sure you have access to everything, and specifically Teams, because some courses will be on Teams, and I know that my personal one-on-one appointments are also on Teams. Teams is really useful for these appointments, and just for sometimes your lab may have your own team just to communicate with your lab members. So I highly encourage you to look into Office 365 and get everything set up before you start classes or before you start needing it. McMaster also have virtual private networks like VPNs, and I know that students outside of Canada, depending on which region or which country you're in, you may need a VPN to access McMaster resources. You don't need a VPN to access all of McMaster resources, but if you're having some trouble accessing some platforms such as Avenue to Learn or even Zoom, you may use that VPN from McMaster. And we also have an ExpressVPN that's specifically available for students located in China. Your health and wellness is very important to us, and not just because of the pandemic, but at all times as well. So we have 3 areas in particular that I would like to introduce you to that supports your health and wellness. So first, it's the student accessibility services. They provide academic accommodations and assistance and other supports related to students with disabilities or students who may need additional support just um, to um, to help with their studies and to help their with exams. And you never know what kind of supports you may need. So if you're in a doubt, I highly encourage you to explore our accessibility services, and they may be able to help you in ways that you don't know yet. And also we have the Student Wellness Center. They address the physical and mental wellness needs. They provide counseling options, they provide medical services, and other wellness programs for both of your physical and your mental wellness needs. We also have this really interesting area named Open Circle. So Open Circle is a very diverse and consensus-based community where McMaster students can discuss life, spiritual, and societal issues. It's a very safe community, and they also offer volunteering opportunities and with them and also with the Hamilton community. So if you go into their website at Open Circle at mcmaster.ca, you can sign up for their newsletter and you will learn about their events through their weekly newsletters. And I highly encourage you to look into all 3 of these services just so you know what's available. And of course, you can always reach out to me if you have a question or if you're unsure if any of these services are relevant to you. And next, equity, diversity, and inclusion is very important to us at McMaster University. And we specifically have an equity and inclusion office in the university that oversees and attends to our equity and inclusion mandate. So the Equity and Inclusion Office promotes and supports institution-wide commitments to equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. So it also oversees the 3 policies, including accessibility policy, the discrimination and harassment policy, and the sexual violence policy. So what I want you to take, I know this is a lot of information already, but what I really want you to take away from these slides and these services is if you're ever in doubt, there's a service at McMaster that is relevant to you and will advocate on your behalf for your studies and for your student experience or your experience in Hamilton in general. If you're ever in doubt, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So I know for international students in particular, you may have experiences or encounters that may not make you feel comfortable or that may deserve more attention than it currently has. So for example, we are encouraging students to attend the support for activities against anti-Black racism that's coming up, that's starting today actually. So this is organized by scholars in Canada called the Scholar Strike for Black Lives in Canada, and it'll take place today and tomorrow. McMaster is in support of it. You can read all about it in the daily news. So these are kind of the events and the initiatives that McMaster and the Equity and Inclusion Office oversees in general. And we're hoping to have more workshops and more events that introduces you to the ideas and opportunities to be involved in these kind of initiatives. Okay. Next, I would like to introduce one of the co-presidents for the International Graduate Student Association, JC, to talk about community resources that are available to international graduate students.
Hi, everyone. As Yufei mentioned, I'm JC. I'm one of the co-presidents of the IGSA. And in the background, there's also Sebastian, the other co-president that has been helping with answering questions today. So my role today is to try to guide you through all the different associations and resources that you have available on campus, and there are a lot. So the first one is called the Graduate Student Association. So that's the main association that represent every single graduate student. They're run by the students and they're operated for the students. They deal with your health and dental coverage. They usually have sport leagues. They operate the Phoenix restaurant that is directly on campus, and they help with most of grad student clubs that are on campus. So eventually you'll interact with them, and they also have a lot of opportunities for volunteering or being more involved in the community. Then we have the International Graduate Student Association, which I'm one of the co-presidents. So for that association, we represent all the international graduate students that are on campus. So again, this is operated by the students for international students. We have a lot of opportunities for either volunteering or even being more involved and try to make a difference for international students. We have a Facebook page that there's a group that you can apply to, and I'll accept you. And on here, there will be I will put all the events that we have throughout the terms. So that's definitely the page we communicate on. And then there are many groups, and I'm just gonna list a few here, but there's a link at the bottom of the slide where you can see all the clubs that are available on campus. But some of them are the McMaster grad parents. If you're part of the engineering faculty, there is an association for these students. There's the same thing for science grad students. And there's also a specific association for African Caribbean grad students that we collaborate a lot with. So that was if you're just a student. Now, if you are also a TA, there's a union on campus that it's called QP 3906. It's a labor union for the teacher assistants and the research assistant. They negotiate the collective agreement for us every year to make sure everything is fair with the employer. So make sure you know who they are and what your rights are. So definitely check their website. They also deal with some of the dental plan and some of the health plan if you're a TA. So it's really good to know and navigate the difference between the GSA plan and the QP plan. And then finally, off campus, there are a lot of resources. One of them is particularly relevant for international students, which is the Global Hamilton Connect. So they have events for international students in Hamilton, but not only. So it kind of helps building a community with everybody that is not initially from Canada and that is now in Hamilton. And then there's also a lot of resources directly on the City of Hamilton website that you can definitely go and check out. Yeah, so hopefully I will get to meet all of you one day in person. And we have a lot of events coming with IGSA, so you'll receive emails as well as on the Facebook page. So just be aware of that.
Thank you, JC. And yeah, just to echo JC, the IGSA is a very active resource for students, and they do a lot of really fun things. So I highly encourage you to get involved with the IGSA and just attend their events. So next, I would like to encourage you to check out our new student orientation page and attend all of our upcoming events. So in a semester where everyone is in Hamilton and on campus, we usually have a week long of orientation events. But this year, to consider that we're all kind of experiencing Zoom fatigue. I know some of you had your department or your program orientation for 2 days last week. So we really don't want to have back-to-back events with you, because I understand these events can be very tiring. Instead, we will have events all the way up to October, so you have time to absorb them and just to learn more about them. Our 2020 orientation calendar of events can be accessed on our orientation page. So once you click on it, you'll see individual event cards like the planting roots events that you can see on the screen. And you can click on them. Some of them you can register for, some of them you can just attend or access as a resource. So I highly encourage you to check out all of the events and maybe go to one that you're not familiar with, or you're not particularly even looking forward to, just to see what's available, and maybe even meet more new students or meet more staff that will help you along the way. And so there are a few events that are specialized for international graduate students. One of them in particular is tomorrow, part of the McPherson Institution Forum, the full day of events. So at around 12:30 on that day, they will have a teaching in Canadian classroom workshop and panel for new TAs. So this panel event will be recorded and available later. But if you're here and you're going to be a TA for the fall term or future term, I highly encourage you to attend these events just so you're ready and get the skills for your TA-ship. And next, on the 18th, so that I believe that's next Friday, we will have an International Grad Social, a game night in quotation marks, because it is at 9 a.m. our local time. But we also know that many of you are joining us at night time right now, so we want as many students to attend this event as possible. Usually everyone will be in one big room making friends through playing board games and chatting, and maybe some drinks, drinks like coffee and some donuts like Canadian style. But this year we will have it over Zoom, but I promise you that we have some really fun games planned, and I highly encourage you to attend and maybe make some friends through this event. So this event is headed by Graduate Studies as well as your International Graduate Student Association, and they bring the fun in any of our events. So I highly encourage you to attend. And of course, I mentioned earlier, the Model Language and Cultural event is on October 1st at the same time. And we also have other events coming up that are for all graduate students, like the resource fair. So please check out the calendar to register and attend these events. And this ends our formal part of the presentations for today. I see some questions. I see that everyone has been answering questions very diligently in the background. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to put it in the question and answer period. And I'll make sure that every question that are asked today gets answered or gets referred somewhere before we conclude today's event. I noticed one of the questions asked about sharing the links and the presentation, and I can confirm that this presentation will be available, uploaded on our website, and you can click through the links that are shared throughout the presentation, And today's event is also being recorded. So once the recording has been uploaded and captioned with subtitles, it will also be uploaded and be available at a later date. So please don't worry if there's a lot of information being shared today or a lot of information being thrown at you. We understand we're not expecting anyone to know everything about graduate studies or the resources available through this 1 hour event. And the team is happy to help you with anything that you need or help you to refresh any part of the presentation if you reach out or attend any of our future events. And I think this is all for today. And I will be keeping this session open and will be in the background if anyone has any more questions through the Q&A section. And of course, you can also always email me at zheny37@mcmaster.ca if you have any questions about your personal situation, or just you have questions that you don't know where it should go. And with that, thank you to all the panelists and all the speakers for joining us today. And thank you to all the staff in the background answering the question and answers. If you don't have any more questions for the Q&A section, I wish you a good day, good evening, or good week. And hopefully we'll see you on campus one day. Thank you.